Alright, old gatekeeper here. Got a kind of favors a gray, but it's called a 300 bilinear. Really hard to say exactly who made the box. I'm not quite familiar with the box myself. I have seen them before, and I've always thought it'd be neat to work on one. When the guy was sending it, I honestly thought it was a Texas Star the way he described it until I looked at it. But there is this box really is designed, if you look at it, for some small transistors. It really is. I know we have talked and we were going to throw some 1446 HGs in here. I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to throw some HG 2290s. And there's just a couple of things here I don't agree with. On a lot of these older boxes, they like to bring the power in to a switch instead of a bus. And that is what's powering the relays, this orange wire right here that's hooked on this transformer. But if you look how the power is distributed, they've got a big 8-gauge wire somewhat coming in right here. And on the bottom part of the switch right here, it comes up to this little choke, I guess you can call a little, I don't know, 28-gauge wire or something. Solid wire that goes to this transformer, okay? And this transformer over here is soldered to this little piece of foil. Okay, but this transformer is getting a direct feed, while this one isn't. This one is having to pull the power through this foil over to it. So, I mean, you can pretty much just tell this transformer seems like it's going to get more of the current, while this one might be lagging a little bit. And I just don't like that. I've kind of visioned how I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to take all of this off and just run this wire over here to the front switch to turn the relay on and off. And I think I'm going to put me a kind of a thick hot bus right here. I think that's, and then run two separate wires over too, so they can both be feeding from the same source equally. And there's just a couple of other things too. This needs a balancing resistor up under this combiner. I'm going to take these 18s off, put 10 ohms on. I'm going to get these right here off too, and put some set caps on. A couple things. This right here is, it's pretty much got the tune broke up into two. We're going to change that to, I know why they done that, because I mean, it's like hardly nothing right there to solder to. But I'm going to have to do it anyway. I don't like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but we're going to have to retune the box anyway. I'm not going to attempt to rewrap the transformers. I'm going to see how well they do with just the wrapping style. I mean, it's a high wrap. 2290s can work with high wraps. But we're going to see how it can do with it first. If I'm not happy with the results, I may unwrap the transformers and rewrap them. I'm going to pull this cap off here. We're going to retune the output and the input. And, I don't know. See, we might be able to get about 300 bird. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how it works out. Get some of these caps off here too for the floating, as you can see, floating ground. But we don't use them no more. There's hardly no vehicles out there like that no more that use floating grounds. We get some, free up a little bit of space and get them caps out of there. Alright, let's get to it. I almost forgot. Another thing I'm not too happy about is take a look at this ground. Okay, see, somebody's colored that to make it black. I guess it's the same color as this orange. But take a look at this. The ground wire comes in. See that? To this tiny strip. Look at that tiny strip. So the ground of this whole box has to feed from this point and go through that direction to feed the whole box. if you ask me, this right here is the weakest part of the box, right here. So I'm going to bring another ground wire in, and I'm pretty much going to bring it in this direction and set it right here on the ground plane of the board. It's going to be a lot better, I believe. So I don't know why somebody's got this marked right here. This is the old style of making an RF transmit light. I don't know why. I think they were all just kind of copying each other back in the days. But this is a way you can make a light kind of, go with the modulation of you speaking. And it's a pretty simple design. It's just taking a small sample of the output. And I've seen them do it one or two ways. A lot of them will take that and send it through a diode, basically converting that to a DC voltage hitting the LED. Now LEDs will light with the AC, believe it or not. But I see that this diode has the cathode to the RF, so maybe somebody's got it black. I don't know. Maybe this diode's bad or something. I'll know once I get done with it and see if that RF light's working or not. I may have to replace this diode or do it another way. We'll see. Alright, I'll be back. Alrighty, here's the deal. Then probably put in about 30-40 minutes of troubleshooting on this thing, man. Had this thing all finished, sewed up, ready to tune, and I just wasn't getting no output. I could hear the transistors reverberating. I could tell they were amplifying the signal. Tried a few things, I tried each section individually, each 2 transistor section individually. I still wasn't getting output, so I knew it wasn't anything with the transistors, even though I know they're new. I still had to check. And I finally figured out the culprit of the issue here. Well, one thing is this being 42290s, you're not going to need this high, low, medium, or whatever anymore. Plus, this thing right here is completely off. The ohmage is completely, these resistors would need to be changed anyway if you did want to keep a high, low, medium. But like I said, this is going to be a high drive amplifier now. So I'm just going to remove this right here for you and put a plug right here up front. You're not going to need that. If you absolutely felt like you just really wanted to use this as a low drive amplifier and just run your radio into it, well, just run like a low radio into it. You can throw a variable on here if you want to, and that wouldn't be hard at all. You just run a wire from this point over here this way back over in the center. But anyway, the problem is this lead right here. I'm not going to key it up anymore to show you. That's not too smart. Every time I key is a chance to mess these new transistors up. This lead right here on the relay, it was bent up and wasn't making connection at all whatsoever. I tried to bend it down a little bit. All it is just arcing. It's just not going to work. These are old relays, and if I did have one of these replacement relays, which I don't, but if I did, I have to remove this whole board. Just sometimes it's best just to remove and rebuild. It really is. Sometimes it is best. I do not have a replacement relay for this. Some of these older relays like this aren't even sold anymore. You just have to find another relay that matches up to it. But to get this box working, man, I'm going to have to remove this board right here in the back and pretty much install 2 new relays on the board and build you a preamp. And so that's going to put about an hour or 2 more into it probably, I'm guessing. But that's what she needs, man, to get this thing up and running. It's kind of turned out to be a rebuild more than a repair. I hate that, but I'm going to give you a call real quick, man, and I'll let you know about this. I'm probably add about 2 to 3 more hours of labor on this thing, man. We'll get it worked out, though. Alright, man. We'll be back. Hopefully with it working, kicking A then. Peace. Alrighty, just to be completely honest, I recorded this whole portion of this video, which is about 11 minutes and 41 seconds, and figured out the next day that no audio got recorded. And I had already put up everything, put the tins on the amp. So instead of me just recording the whole video over again, I thought I would just record this audio clip and narrate over it. So just to let you know if it sounds a little weird or I'm not completely lined up with what's going on, that's what's going on. Okay? First time I've ever had to do that. All right, I'm kind of just showing the whole finished deal here. And now we're taking a look at all the parts that I had to take out of the amplifier. There's the relay board, I guess you can say. And right now I'm going to show you exactly the piece of the relay, the part of the relay that was messed up. This pole right here. It was bent up to the point to where it was not making contact at all. I tried to bend it back down, you know, but it was just arcing, and that's not good at all. So I thought it'd just be best to just take the board out and put a new relay in there and build a new preamp. I guess I could have took that other relay for the preamp and switched it over there, but then you'd have to do something about the preamp and blah blah, so I just thought it'd be best just to take it out. So that's what we did. And here's the rest of the parts right here that was took out. And that was not working properly. The ohmage, I guess you can say, was off. And this is considered more of a high drive amplifier now, so you don't even need it anymore anyway. So we just went ahead and did away with that. And some of these other parts are still good, like these silver dip micas I'm showing right here. A lot of them were, you know, still fine and all, but of course we're using different transistors now, so we've had to change up some of the capacitors as well. And these right here was what was on the output transformers, and I'm always not a big fan of doing that. One was like 60 to 70 picofarad different than the other. You know, I mean, those are like 350 volt trimmers, and I always just like taking them off and putting a set cap in. So here she is right here, the finished product. Yeah, pretty much a new retrofitted rebuild, I guess you can say. Retrofitted with these HG 2290s. And anybody needing, oh, well, hold on now, I'm sitting there showing the power wire upgrade and putting a bead. Oh, I'm doing the video, buddy, doing the video. Hold on, doing the video. Okay, buddy, doing the video. Sorry about that. I was just showing the trimmer there real quick. But went ahead. We're going to be running on 14.4 volts. We're just going to be driving the bench radio into it first, which is 4 watts over ms. And yeah, I just showed there I had to change the sideband delay capacitor. What was in there was a 47 microfarad. Had to change it over to a 1000 microfarad, which is pretty much default. You can sit there and clean that front up a little bit, man. Have that thing shining. No doubt about it. All right, we're using a 1000 watt slug. Just narrating things pretty fun. Look at that. It's doing about 80, 90 bird. about 90 RMS. That's about with 4 watts drive, 4 watts RMS, okay? All right, here's your input reflect. Look at that. Look at that. Very good input tune. Very good input tune. All right, we're going to go ahead and check out the PEP swing now. You're going to find out, look at that, 300 watts PEP. Right there, 300 watts. So we're already at what the box is advertised to be. It's called a 300. Okay, so that's talking about 300 watts PEP for this box. So we're already at 300 watts PEP already, just hitting it with a small bench radio. So that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. And we're going to be putting it on the unregulated 100 amp supply here in a second. On the medium tap, it's going to be dropping to about 15 volts, right around 15 volts. And before I do that, I want to show you something neat, which I should be coming up here in just a second. I don't remember what the heck I'm talking about right now in the video. Okay. Yeah. These heaters I got on. Okay, I've got 2 heaters on that are hooked up to a 220 volt source, which is isolated from the, I remember what happened now. I think I'm showing the heater right now that I got hooked up to the 220 volt source. I turned this up a little to put it on max, but what they're hooked up to down here, which is a little strip, it threw the breaker on it. I need to get in there and change that breaker out to something a little higher. But right now you see me basically resetting the breaker on it. But anyway, what I'm showing this for is, this is a prime example of what you can actually have something running at your house, okay? It's not even hooked up to the same outlet as yours, not even the same breaker in the breaker box. There's my cat's tail right there, trying to get that joker out of the way before she catches it on fire. Because these 2 heaters are hooked up on an isolated 220 volt line, and my power supply is hooked up on an isolated 110 volt line. Now check this out. Even though they're both isolated from each other, running the heaters has an effect on my power supply. Take a look at that, 17.9 volt float pretty much. Okay. I turned one heater off. You see that went up to 18.1? Now watch this. I'm going to turn the big heater off, 18.3. They're completely isolated from each other. That shows you just the load from them 2 heaters has an effect on the actual mains voltage of the whole house. So if any of y'all ever wondering when you're running stuff on your base why one day or one night it's doing a little less than the other, it might have something to do with it. And this can also have a lot to do with people just on your street too, what they're running. And these time of year, people are running a lot of space heaters. So there you go. Once I get done quit blabbing about this, I already got the hot radio hooked into it. All right, we got the hot radio hooked into it, okay? We're on the 100 amp unregulated supply. We're on the medium tap, okay? So that's pretty much got it hooked up to pretty much about 70 amp source. All right, now this is what we're going to get out of it, doubling our input from 4 watts to 8 watts RMS. We're getting there right at about 160 to 170 RMS, 15.2 volts, just like I showed. All right, here's your peak. Look at that right there, 500 watts. That's 200 watts more than what it's advertised in the front, so this thing is working nice. There you go, big brother. 500 watts, PEP. This thing can take a little bit more drive. You know, if I wanted to really show it rocking, I could hook up a little 1-pill driver or something to it and probably get close to 300 watts RMS out of it for sure. But We're just gonna leave it as it is. We're already showing 200 watts peak, more. That RMS, of course, is what is most important. But with these boxes, a lot of them's got what showed on the front of it. I like to try to beat that number if I can, which we were able to with this, no doubt about it. So I'm just kind of turning the amp around so you can take a look at it from this angle. Anybody got anything like this you need done? An old amp you need fixed, gone through, rebuilt, whatever the case may be, just give me a holler. 3manpro@gmail.com. It's THREEMANP as in purple, RO@gmail.com. Anybody needing some HG transistors, Hotel Golf transistors, 2290s, 1446s, 2879s. I try to keep all that business over at info@gatekeeperamps.com. That's info, INFO, at gatekeeperamps.com. I try to talk all that business over there. So, it took a little bit longer than anticipated to get this done, but we got her done, so I hope you enjoy, my friend. I have no idea what I'm still talking about during this time, but I know I'm blabbing my mouth about something. Gatekeeper's first narrated audio to one of his videos were his phone. I think I knew what it was too. I unconnected the Bluetooth, but did not turn the Bluetooth off on my phone, so it was trying to record my voice through my Bluetooth device that was across the room.